Are you sure you want to leave the tutorial deck? Yes.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others.
We have too long presumed Source as a virtuous part of civil society. Yet we need look no further into the past than the Source King's reign to understand the havoc such magics may wreak. One day, another order must follow in the Source Hunter's footsteps. Sorcerers must be muted. The new model of Source Scholars provided by Redeman is proving most effective. Redeman. Mortar and Pestle. Take the cooking pot to 3 skulls. Look like the potion bottle. Painting of a man.
Now, where did I leave my calipers?
Empty.
The Kraken. In a short missive, Hubert tells the story of the Kraken. He believes he was once on night passage aboard a large ship when a small boat nearby was taken. One suspects he believes the Kraken to be far smaller than it actually is. Ancient book.
There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
Say you had a long black dream about a ship sailing the river of the dead. But you're not dead, are you?
No. You're alive, and you're having a conversation. You are on a ship, of course, but luckily for us both, we're merely sailing the plain old sea.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
You pull at the thing around your neck futilely. Demand to know why she collared you.
Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Recall the power building inside you, the sound and the fury and the madness. Unleash it.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Good gods! There's been a murder here.
Murder?
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
Muddy mittens. Technically, we could trade, but the quality of level 1 gear is so piss poor that it's irrelevant anyway. At the same time, I'm not sure if that's actually true. The damage we're taking is also pitiful, so even a few points in any kind of armor could go a long way.
Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
Peer into the room and ask what happened.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does.
Tap him on the back and say you're sure they have it 100% under control.
Hands to yourself, bloody sorcerer.
Access point to another level.
Did the murderer take him into this room?
Rubbish.
It's rope. At the very least we can use it for creating fuses.
It seems as though... Ugly sight, isn't it?
Might be able to create a wand. Actually, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't just trade in the painting.
Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
Inform her that she wasn't this man's protector, she was his captor.
Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of,
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course.
Ask if she's investigating her fellow magisters as well. One of them could have easily done this. I'm not so sure. That doesn't look like a guy murdered. That looks like a guy smoldering something green and in total pieces. Okay, tell her that that's a trick you haven't quite mastered.
I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that?
Say you let her know if you hear anything interesting. We could try to complain and bitch about this, be hostile. Even if I would personally think that, I don't really see what benefit I have for doing that.
Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a guy who has been just murdered. This is smoldering bones, pretty much. So it's not like someone just got a pointy stick and stuck the man a little bit. That's been annihilated. Blood trails go here.
I'm not suited for this. It's sea cow, not sea sheep.
Admire the sheep's wool and ask if you might take a bit.
Haven't got any shears, have you? People these days.
Petrol. Use this to rest when there are no enemies nearby. So I guess this is basically vitality restoration between battles. Healing items would be things you use during battles. Outside you can just rest.
This again.
Eels and jets drunk.
Name?
It was one of them. I know it.
Side Dreamly and ask him what's in a name anyway.
I don't like comedy.
Tell him your name is Losef. Yes, the Losef.
Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy, we're trying to catch a killer here.
You think me mad?
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No! Go! Oof.
I know you. I heard you sing once. Before. Out there. Wow.
Long Branch. Branches would be staffs, short stick for wands. Still, I'm gonna need something to trade in. I suppose I can keep gold, but why not just keep some of this rubbish?
Hey! I know who you are! You're a singer! My mum likes you!
Stained shirt. Actually not bad.
Wow! You look cool! I like your hair. I like your eyes. I like your colour. I have one too!
That's where we have to go. So everything before that can be explored safely, I guess.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence. What are you trying to hear anyway?
pull a long face. You thought he wanted to hold hands.
I have already examined it and found it quite ordinary. What more could I possibly... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How... difficult. You have my apologies, human. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't...
Look at him curiously. You are not sure he understands what's happening.
Perhaps. Perhaps not. Understanding is all rather relative. Take this book, for example. I understand all of it, and yet none of it makes sense. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
Tell him you're pretty sure some stuff has happened at some point. Some even say it continues to do so.
Most unusual. And if it's not too rude to suggest, not much of an answer. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
You have often pondered the nature of the gods, but you don't have any sure answers.
Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
Insist. Why he was so curious about the gods?
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
This again.
Was one of them.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
Mumble through clenched jaws. What on earth is he doing?
I'm inspecting your teeth, in case that wasn't spectacularly obvious. There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
Laugh and say you can hardly tell a turkey from a turnip.
Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon's testes that are turnips. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
I wonder what the significance of this is. Is this irrelevant, or am I setting up my own background? Most certainly. Tell him, given a sheet of satin, you can make a bum look like a baron.
Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
Just keep chewing your hair. It was already in your mouth anyway.
Dear Lord, I might as well try and teach mathematics to a dog chasing its tail. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can tailor, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle, and your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun.
A slight exaggeration maybe, but accurate.
That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry.
Stare at him blankly. He was looking for you to be his what now?
My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of my disheartening refusal to sink in. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
At least he is encouraging.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too.
There's nothing particularly interesting for trade.
Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out dropped and Ben Nest.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, Ghetto. You hear that?
Ask what you're meant to be hearing.
The ship, of course.
Quieten and listen to the sounds of the ship.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
Tell him the ship is moaning like a sick man.
Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close.
Close your eyes and try to let the ambient sounds on the ship fade away.
There now, just like that. Squeak! Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, Ghetto. Good news.
Not. You heard it. What's it supposed to be?
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Pardon my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
There has been a murder, Your Majesty.
Note he must be a practiced sailor. Ask what the figure means to him.
Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the Joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank ye kindly, Ghetto.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Cock an eyebrow. If he's hatching an escape plan, you want in.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
It was one of them. I know it. Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't you one of them? A divine order loyal. They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Bowstring. That would be actually fairly good if we were planning on making a bow.
You'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right?
Or bedrolls.
Always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
Wonder what she's doing.
Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
Frown, whose fate is she deciding?
Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She can decide fates with dice, as if she can read the future in cow entrails as well.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no, but I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
You don't see why not. Extend your arm.
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. A dark, dank place. I remember it well. As everyone lay sleeping, you sat in the dark with wakeful eyes, looking rather lovingly at... me! Huh. My, aren't you a pretty cup full of sugar and spice?
I'm not again sure what the options here mean. Stare at the ground embarrassed, admit wide-eyed, that's exactly right, or snap at her. So basically, am I deciding what happened earlier with the dialogue options? Admit wide-eyed, that's exactly right.
Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
That right? I always knew you'd turn
Greasy
out rotten,
key.
Ben Nest.
Nice.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like
Probably
wolves
for this
around a
door.
campfire.
Yeah, it's a greasy door.
Well, we've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over
Journal.
to this ship with it.
How dare you classify this
Some
slop
food
as
items.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague.
Poison bottles.
There's nothing else I can take, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I...
Healing potion.
Unacceptable. I've never died on
The healing potions seem to work very differently from the first game. There were percentage-based heals. Here they are static numbers.
Your Majesty.
So minor heal 30 is heals 30 points. It's basically full heal for a level 1 character. It will get increasingly worse as we level up. Food items seem to be percentage based though. 2 strength heals 10%. So I'm not quite sure what is going to end up being the primary source of healing. I'm sure the potions and the like will be great for a time, while food is basically a piece of crap at this stage because we have so little health. But that might change. Also makes me somewhat interested in cooking options, because if we can get the percentage raised to some decent number, that would be great. 6 new recipes learned.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard.
Improvised wand.
That right?
We need a skull. A different type of skull than we have, though.
Your kind always
Actually, I'm not
closest
sure
to
if
our
the
divine, like
humanoid skull we have could produce a wand. It might.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
Minor intelligence potion requires
Inquisitor gets here.
Calocera.
Right over the side of this ship with him.
Handmade mage armor. Pixie dust. Cloth scraps. Needle and thread.
Those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
It was cloth scraps and needle and thread in the first game. Actually,
Strongly suspect you know all
yeah,
about it.
it was a cloth armor. I'm not sure if it was technically a mage armor. Boiled potatoes. I wish you could see the end result, what it does. Cold mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes and mashed potatoes. Any milk and boiled potato. Rain scroll. Herring, water essence, and sheet of paper.
Trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to
So scroll crafting is a bit different here. In the first game it's random. You need a piece of paper and an essence, and you basically roll dice after that with what is produced. Here it requires an extra resource. Well, actually I'm not sure about that, but producing a specific scroll requires a third resource.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of
And
the ship with him.
I'm thinking that's how they control the more powerful options in this game. They're basically tied to the third ingredient, so they can control how many raid scrolls can you possibly make and so forth, leaving a little bit of room for random loot, but more or less they can determine how many raid scrolls you can get, at least from personally crafting them. I think the system is sort of shit, because it doesn't show you the full range of options that are available. Here's the problem with that. There's no way to really plan beforehand, because you don't know what's going to be useful and what isn't. You don't know what you should be gathering up and what you should be ignoring, what interests you. It only applies really to new players who don't Google the answers. Anyone who's played this once will already know what you need to pick up, so it doesn't really limit them in any way. And anyone who has a phone these days can basically just look it up. So there's very little reason in my book in just excluding that sort of information from the player.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
It doesn't really lead to good gameplay either.
Murder, Your Majesty.
Leads to mistakes that you regret later, or is irrelevant for any people who just look it up.
You clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again.
Move closer to him.
He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
Ask Ifan why the Magister suspects him of murder.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty.
Ask Ivan what he did to find himself at the mercy of a subordinate.
Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties.
Say you are still curious about the murder. Did he do it?
No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough.
Ask Ivan if he knows anything about where you're headed, for Joy.
The Joy? I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself.
Tell Ivan that's one acquaintance you're not eager to make.
Not eager to bow before the great Bishop Alexander, son of the Divine himself. My sentiments exactly. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You! What's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
It doesn't sound like he's in a mood to joke around, so I'll just tell him my name. Tell him your name is Lose.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
So nothing all that useful. Got to know some of the people here.
Just to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Here's the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams has just about done with the last passenger.
Herring. Now only we need is water essence and we can do a rain scroll.
You faring okay so far?
Tell him you're fine.
Glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
Bloody dwarves, I'll come back to you.
Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
And if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
Classify this slop as food.
You seem on
I've
edge,
seen more
officer.
appetizing things
What
coming
on
out
earth
of
is the matter?
plague-stricken pigs.
Murder most foul.
There's
I'm
nothing
strong
else
to
I can
suspect
make,
you
Your
know all
Majesty.
about it.
Turnips and water are all I
Do
was...
you? Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with
Jonah, Ikriti, Magister William, and Windego. Level 5. Might as well steal the food. I'll take a single empty cup. I could put some oil in it or something like that. Putting oil in a metal armor was a way to improve them in the first game.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God! The woman's mad! You there, sorcerer! Go and fetch Magister Siwan! We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
Address the sorcerer and ask her what she meant by there are others whose lives must end.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
At times for a couple of magisters, that's what happened. Ooh, a couple of wands. Shield and a hatchet. Might as well use a shield. A lot of extra defense, at least for a character of my level. Requisition. Requisition Sorcerer Hold. Pumpkin seed flour, sunflower flour, turnips, cabbages, human ale. Okay. Not all that interesting. Deck of cards. Empty cups. So all the magisters are pretty much just piles of nothing here. Eat a stern. Probably open this door. Note. More requisition. A few of them are in good spirits, especially the children. Others are sullen. Don't blame them. Change is rough. They'll make new friends sooner or later, and when we cure them for good, they'll be thanking us, not cursing. Well, most of them. That elf with the dice, the lone wolf, the creaky voiced woman in the kitchen. Some folks won't get over it. I reckon they won't be first to get cured, if they ever get cured at all. The same requisition I just took earlier. Right, pretty much all the people who were part of the original group are still here, right? Everyone who wasn't is pretty much splattered all over the place. 5 essence.
The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead.
Hold your head to his chest, listening for a heartbeat.
You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just.
He had a body. The body is still gone, so I mean his friend. There's no corpse for him.
Oh! What? What happened? Must have been the turnips.
Slap him in the face. He needs to get up now.
You dare strike a royal? Ooh!
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness.
Right, they're not useful to me. I'll just loot the corpses and move on. There was a man here. That's two people who are missing.
Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. A low whine escapes his lips.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
Reassure her. You'll get her out of here if you can.
It's no use. Your words do not seem to reach her.
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
Roll mutton. Right. Some corpses missing. Some people missing. Magister Sivan also unconscious. Chunk of flesh. Oh, there's a poetry book. A woman from Driftwood with nary a care offered me kisses that answered my prayer. I accepted her gift, and then, to my dismay, a spider she was and I her buffet. Once feasting was over, she licked her red lips. I rose from the floor, still coming to grips. She thanked me for coming and bade her farewell. My prayer indeed answered, though still I did swell.
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.
On silencing source. I'll take that book. Don't want to go back to tutorial deck. Might have been some changes there too. Don't think it's worth my time.
Oh, the hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Companion way.
The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching.
Call out to the hound and ask it what's the matter.
The dog notices you for the first time and snarls, the hairs on its back prickling as it lowers itself into a lunge.
Sorcerer!
It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Too much. Please, make it stop.
The ship isn't going to last much longer. Decide it's best. No, I'm not gonna kill the dog. Tell the dog you're not the one who did this. You'd stop it if you could.
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Oh, he's actually quite bad. I mean, good compared to me. He has proper armor and more health than I do.
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters.
Also, I do intend to roleplay this, so I have no reason to just kill a dog. Just because it might be useful
Damn,
to me.
that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
Golden cup. Has to be a key somewhere.
God damn it! Need to get off this wreck and quick.
More dead magisters. Also, I'm getting like a gold piece or two when looting, so it's pretty clear that I have no chance of getting anything interesting here. At the same time, even oh, it froze. You got knocked out. Congratulations, dumbass. Even bad equipment would be fairly useful at this stage. The 3 gold pieces on the other hand probably are not most useful. Still 3 more than I had previously, so that's something. Auto save. So stairway up. Bane is there, and a Source Hound. Source Hound we already met. Bane not so. Improvised wand, good damage. High damage. Oh, it's a staff, that's why it does so much more damage. The defense provided by the shield is substantial compared to the armor and defenses without it.
What fresh hell is this? Something's pounding on the hull.
Like a water. Not sure how that would be useful. A bow. But we already have a ranged weapon with the wand. The bow would be slightly more damage, but I think it's also a two-handed weapon, so at that point I might as well just use the fire staff. I'm thinking I might as well use the fire staff anyway, actually, because it gives me ranged attack ability. So does the improvised one, though, but in a different way. Staff would allow me to use an ability that has a cooldown. One would allow me to just keep firing, like a normal ranged weapon. Murtaugh, Death Fog barrels have been locked down in storage. Stay out. You and Riggs both. If anyone starts fooling around down there, it'll be lights out. Well, why wouldn't we go fooling there? Death Fog barrel.
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid! No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
There's something familiar about the way he holds that book.
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to.
That's it. The elf. He's the elf that was reading the book.
Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands.
That's heartless. He could be saving people right now.
The skeleton holds up his book in one quick, frustrated movement.
I am trying to discover if there is anyone worth saving, and I will be damned if I let the lives of some mayflies get in my way. Go on, go, swim or drown or do whatever takes your fancy. I have a book to read.
Of course you do. Wait, where the hell does this staircase go? We're gonna go and mess with the death fog.
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You don't recognize the symbol, but it's clearly warning you away. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The color drains from your hand, and you are left numb.
We'll open the door.
It doesn't budge.
Use your key.
The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
Those were tentacles. Death fog. Instant death for the living. But the tentacles also retreated immediately. Cracked sword. Can I loot some of these things?
Death fog. I need to get out of here now.
Seems very, very specifically located. In theory, there's only one extra corpse I could loot. There doesn't appear to be anything else. And I don't see how in the hell could I possibly loot that without going into the fog. So I'll just let it be. Talk to the undead guy though. Wanna go into the fog for me to loot a corpse?
Please, my time is short. Although yours, I gather, is infinitely shorter.
He doesn't give a crap. I'm assuming if you would have chosen him as your origin character, you're gonna just walk in there without any worries. Instant death for the living.
We need to get off this ship.
Viscous Voidling, 24 hit points, wet. Hard to say if it's vulnerable to anything. Water resistance and air resistance lower. Suits me just fine. And has no armor. Yeah, that's a bit of a size difference in the tentacles suddenly. Yeah, we probably should escape. Ladder is there. But I don't really see a reason why I should really escape. I should at the ground, out of curiosity, see how are they gonna go in there or are they gonna risk slipping on the ice? They can't sleep in the goddamn ice. Yeah, poison. Can't really see why would it bother them though. He's dead. With this, I can drain his life to heal myself. I really need to. My attacks are hitting me just because I have the necromancy skill. Not sure if it's enough to compensate for this. Maybe not, but it's enough to keep me in the game at least. Fireball scroll. It's a heavy hitting spell. Wasted if I cast it on this low level, but still.
So much for a peaceful stroll.
It would be easier to just heal. I have a frost armor skill. Take me a little bit from the fire. Blinding Radiance. And improvised wand. Should be one, but still. Also, what hell I came here? We had a clear, easy, short path the other side already. Minor tentacles. Wonder if they actually belong to the same creature. Passage way to lower levels again.
Go on, kid. Climb up there and dig in the rope.
Some of the children and one of the guy that was missing earlier.
Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
The ship trembles beneath your feet, but the kid's right. Say you will go back to the lower deck and look for survivors.
Thank you, thank you, thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
Possibly. I'd like to at least get the origin characters, if at all possible. The rest I could not give less of a fuck about. Oh, fight.
Wait, Voidwoken.
1, 2, 3, 4 enemies, but we seem to have allies this time. Not under our control though, so I'm not sure how that could well this is gonna go. Still, they're weaker ones compared to the ones we already encountered.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
Beardless bugs.
They who are about to triumph.
Let the games begin.
I've faced worse.
Not much we can do here. He'll kill that one easily enough.
No telling where there might be more. We need to move.
They smell even worse dead than alive. Let's head above decks for some air.
Nothing. These things are not dropping anything useful. I think that's all of them anyway. There's the undead creature, but I don't think he gives enough of a shit about things.
I hear something. There's no time.
Smaller tentacles seem to be whiskers.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Well, the Order's right about one thing. First comes Source, then comes Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Well, thanks, disembodied voice.
Fort Joy. It's a fairly large area. Gotta hold my ass to the waypoint there to leave things at that. Fairly close to a level up, so almost anything that happens is enough to push us over. Our highest priority is not to really explore or gather quests at this point, is to get the group together. Form a group. I had the group in mind already. I'm thinking the sailor Captain Dwarf, then the Red Lizard, Red Prince, whatever, and Sabil, the Elven Assassin. 2 fighters, a scoundrel, and me as a support. So our focus, we would like to everyone to have abilities that do physical and magical damage, but focus is we should be leaning toward physical. We have 3 guys who can go toe to toe against enemies, while I support them. Naturally, I want them to have other abilities too, but that's the fundamental design or plan for the party. When you get new party members, the game does allow you to choose what they do. So, choose in the sense that you can decide more or less which sort of direction they're gonna start developing themselves. You can level them up yourself too. But so if you, even if the new character you add is sort of a mage, you don't have to keep it in as a mage. You can basically say, yeah, you're gonna be a fighter from this point on, because that's what the group needs. So you're not tied to those origin classes.
Brachus Rex. Who's that again?
I guess we don't really have abilities to travel to other waypoints.
Nice throne, at least.
Yeah.